Hi, I'm Ben Wizner, and we're recording this message to congratulate Wolfgang Kalik and all of his colleagues at ECCHR on 10 remarkable years. But I find it extremely awkward to try to speak into a camera, so I thought that I would invite a friend to make it more of a conversation.
Hi, I'm Ed Snowden, and I'm glad to be here as well because ECHR is one of the only institutions in Europe that I'm aware of that is having this kind of impact. They're reshaping what we think of when we think of the idea of law and accountability, right? And this is something that Wolfgang Kalik, who I met for the first time through Ben in his introduction, really introduced to me, because one of the things that's frustrated me in my personal sort of struggle is that the people with the least power in society are those who are held to the highest standard of accountability. You know, if you break the law, you're going to jail. But what happens when we've got these really powerful people in society, the ones at the top of the political totem pole, and they engage in acts of torture, rendition, aggressive war? And Ben, how did you first hear about Wolfgang Kalik? It was on this similar issue, right?
It was. I remember reading, and it must have been around 2004, that Donald Rumsfeld had been sued in Germany for his role in the U.S. torture conspiracy. And I remember thinking, wow, who did that? And I wasn't surprised to see that Michael Ratner was involved in this case, because you could usually find Michael's name associated with this kind of innovative and challenging use of the law. But then there was this name of Wolfgang Kalik, and it was the first time I saw it, and it was over the next few years that we got to know each other and got to work together on trying to shrink the world for torturers. And I learned a lot from that work, that to be a human rights defender in an era of impunity, you have to have a combination of patience and persistence. You can be sure that Augusto Pinochet did not expect to spend the last few years of his life being chased around the world by a prosecutor. And even if Donald Rumsfeld is not behind bars today, Wolfgang and others in ECCHR have shrunk his world. You don't see him taking very many trips to Europe. And who knows what might happen in another 10 or 15 or 20 years to change the legal landscape for the better. What about you, Ed? What was your first impression of Wolfgang?
Well, the thing I love about Wolfgang is, out of all the lawyers that I've worked with, nobody comes more prepared. He does not show up to a meeting without like a thick dossier, a folder full of subfolders, right? He's always got some memo, something to share. And one of the first things that he shared with me was actually ECCHR's newsletter, the little magazine they put together. And on the front of it, it's got a phrase that I love. I actually have stolen this phrase without any remorse. And I use it whenever I talk to the public about these legal dynamics, this contest between what the law says and what the law means in practice. And ECCHR's motto is enforcing human rights through new means. And I've thought about this a lot because, of course, lawyers look at this through one lens, right? And this is using the law as a kind of lever to achieve the ends of accountability that we've always wanted. But for me, as an engineer, as a technologist, this is a really powerful phrase because it goes to this idea that we need the law. The law is a necessary thing. It is sort of the fundamental basis, the foundation of the guarantees that we have of what our rights are. What is a right without a means of enforcing it, without a means of asserting it, right? Without a way of applying that to the world. But when we talk about things like mass surveillance, where you've got these enormous state agencies, whether it's Russia's FSB, China's MSS, America's NSA, or the German BFV or BND, these guys break the rules every day. And how do you restrain them when you can't even bring them into court?
Well, I think it's an important point that a lot of lawyers say we can't bring this kind of challenge because we'll make bad law. And one of the things that Wolfgang and ECCHR understand is that rights don't exist to be preserved. They exist to be exercised. They exist to be enforced. We don't need to keep it polished and looking pretty in a closet. We need it to have meaning in the real world. And so we shouldn't be afraid of the poor decisions of others. We need to light that candle. And I will say about ECCHR that it has become one of the most effective legal NGOs in the entire world. And that's really a credit to Wolfgang and to the entire incredible staff, the current staff, and all the people who have worked there over the last 10 years. So congratulations, everybody. I look forward to celebrating with you all in person. And Ed?
I hope that this will not be the only 10 years. This will be the first, and it will not be the best. Best of luck to all of you. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it.